Sweden is one of the most amazing countries in the world, and not just because of natural phenomena such as the northern lights and the midnight sun, or because of the distinct Scandinavian culture. What truly distinguishes this Scandinavian country is its insanely progressive nature, an entire nation driven by a desire to change the world for the better, setting an example to the rest of the world through sustainability, social welfare, peace, successful accomplishments in waste reduction, and sheer creativity and a culture immersed in sustainability. What you need to know about Sweden. 1. Forests cover 63% of Sweden. Sweden has vast swaths of lovely green space, with 2/3 of the country's land area covered by forest, owing to the country being one of the largest in Europe with a small population, 85% of whom reside in metropolitan areas, making it one of the greenest countries in the world. In addition, the Scandinavian country has over 90,000 lakes and more than 3,000 kilometers of coastline. 2. One of the world's cleanest countries. Environmental consciousness is deeply embedded in Swedish culture and the Nordic countries in general, which explains why Scandinavia is home to some of the world's cleanest and most progressive countries. Citizens rely largely on public transportation and recycling, and organic, ecological foods are widely available. 3. Europe's fifth largest country. Sweden has the sixth greatest land area in Europe, with 450,295 square kilometers, 173,860 square miles, but having one of the lowest populations per square kilometer on the continent. 4. Birthplace of numerous major corporations and iconic brands. Sweden is home to a variety of well-known design, manufacturing, and technology firms, including IKEA, Ericsson, H&M, Volvo, Saab, Scania Trucks, and Electrolux, to mention a few. 5. Swedish art in Stockholm subway stations. The Swedish capital features one of the coolest public transportation systems in the world. Walking into a Stockholm metro station is claimed to be entering the world's longest art display, which spans more than 68 miles, 110 kilometers. Over 150 artists adorned over 90% of the stations in various themes and forms, including mosaics, paintings, graffiti, installations, sculptures, and so forth. 6. 300,000 to 400,000 moose roam freely in the woods. Moose are Sweden's national pride. There are so many of them that the total number varies depending on the year and how many are hunted. Moose is also a national delicacy. 7. One of the world's highest VAT rates. Sweden's normal VAT rate is presently 25%, ranking it among the highest in the world alongside Norway, Denmark, and Croatia. The only countries with a higher VAT than Sweden are Bhutan, Myanmar, Djibouti, and Hungary. 8. The Swedish passport is one of the most powerful passports in the world. The Swedish passport is now placed 5th in the latest list of the best passports in the world, granting Swedes visa-free entry to 133 countries worldwide. Passport Index is the source. 9. Södermalm's trendy district. Södermalm is one of the nicest neighborhoods in Stockholm, Sweden's capital. Vogue named the hipster paradise one of the 15 coolest neighborhoods in the world. It was formerly a working-class neighborhood, but it is now a buzzing cluster of stylish restaurants, cafes, and bars, as well as small, independent stores and galleries. This is the place to go for unique vintage shops, cutting-edge cuisine, and laid-back vibes. Fotografiska, Sweden's photography museum, is also located along the coastline. 10. Nicotine replacement gum was invented by the Swedes. Millions of individuals throughout the world have been able to quit smoking for good thanks to this device. Nicorette, the first product, was developed by Leo AB in Helsingborg in response to studies on smoking Swedish submariners who would switch from tobacco to chewing tobacco or snus to get their nicotine fix while on duty. 11. The most McDonald's restaurants in Europe. Despite the fact that the Swedes are not recognized for being unhealthy or obese, Sweden has the most McDonald's restaurants per capita in Europe. 12. The Secular Society of Sweden. The Church of Sweden, which is Evangelical Lutheran, is the country's principal religion, but it has been split from the state since the millennium's turn. Other Christian faiths and Buddhism are represented in Sweden, as is Islam, which is gaining in popularity, and there is a sizable Jewish community. In fact, Yiddish is one of Sweden's 5 official languages. 13. Europe's largest amount of patents. Sweden is responsible for numerous inventions and advancements, including Tetra Pak, Erik Wallenberg, the pacemaker, Rune Elmqvist, dynamite, Alfred Nobel, and the spherical ball bearing. 14. The world's biggest scale model of the solar system can be found here. Sweden is a global astronomy pioneer with the world's biggest scale model of the solar system. The Sun is represented by the Ericsson Dome in Stockholm, the world's tallest hemispherical skyscraper, and the model reaches 950 kilometers away at Kiruna, where the notion of termination shock, the end of the solar system, is marked. The size is 120 million, and each object is designated by a model or statue. Mercury is only 3 kilometers from the center, Earth is 7.6 kilometers distant, and Pluto is 300 kilometers away. 15. The only country in the world where donations exceed 1% of GDP. It's no surprise that the Swedes are known for their generosity and friendly attitude, and despite its small size, Sweden seeks to serve people all around the world. Sweden is the only country on the Earth where donations exceed 1% of total GDP, which is an impressive fact about the country that Swedes may be proud of. 16. A land of the midnight sun and the northern lights. Sweden's geographical location in the far north causes the country to swing from one end of the daylight spectrum to the other throughout the year. At the height of summer, the northernmost region of Sweden experiences a phenomenon known as the midnight sun, in which the sun never sets, creating a unique 24-hour day. Further south, this results in white nights in areas like Stockholm and Gothenburg, where the sun sets just beyond the horizon, so it is never fully black. However, throughout the winter, the north is completely black, creating the ideal conditions for the magnificent northern lights phenomena. 17. Making the best of endlessly bleak days. Living in the north of Sweden can be difficult, especially during the winter, when there are only 5 hours of daylight for months on end. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, is a widespread depression caused by a severe loss of daylight that affects many people in Northern Europe. To remedy this, one Swedish city erected light boxes in bus stops, allowing people waiting for the bus to enjoy some extra daylight during the harsh winter days. 18. The Swedes are Viking descendants. The Swedish Vikings of the 8th to 11th century AD, like their Norse and Danish neighbors, were a fierce people who were great warriors and mariners. They invaded and colonized northern and eastern Europe. 19. The establishment of the Kingdom of Sweden. Following the Vikings' defeat and a period of inactivity, the Kingdom of Sweden re-emerged as a powerful power in Europe, and the Swedish Empire conquered lands in Eastern Europe throughout the 17th century. 20. Sweden is Europe's 6th oldest country. The country has a continuous 1,000-year existence as a sovereign state, making it the 6th oldest country in Europe and one of the world's oldest sovereign republics. 21. Sweden is the world's 8th oldest kingdom. The Kingdom of Sweden, founded in 970 AD by Eric the Victorious, is the world's 8th oldest monarchy. Carl XVI Gustaf is the current heir. Number 22. Since 1523, Stockholm has served as the permanent capital. Stockholm is the most populated urban region in Sweden, with 2.4 million residents and the largest metropolis in Scandinavia, spanning 14 islands. 23. The end of the slave trade in Sweden was commemorated by a treaty with the United Kingdom. The Treaty of Stockholm, signed in 1813, secured military cooperation between the two countries against Napoleon, and Sweden committed to cease its slave trade. As part of the deal, Britain took Guadeloupe from France and handed it up to Sweden. 24. A long-standing parliamentary democracy dating back to 1917. Sweden, while nominally a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, it is one of the oldest parliamentary democracies in the world. 25. Sweden boasts some of the world's most progressive LGBT+ rights. Same-sex unions were legalized in 1944, and Sweden was the first country in the world to enable transgender people to legally alter their sex while also giving free hormone therapy in 1972. Sweden became the 6th country to legalize gay marriage in 2009. 26. Sweden has stayed neutral since 1914. Sweden, which was once a significant military power and empire, has been neutral in all wars since 1814, including both world wars. Despite the country's tranquil nature, all Swedes over the age of 19 are required to serve in the military for 15 months. 27. Sweden, one of the world's most progressive and peaceful countries, disavowed armed aggression long ago after being profoundly involved in many centuries of Europe's dynastic and chaotic wars and expansionism. As a result, Sweden has opted to act as a balancing force between the world's competing ideological and political systems. As a result, Swedish leaders are frequently sought for to hold key positions in the United Nations. 28. A global pop music impact. Sweden is well known for generating hugely successful pop bands, singers, and DJs. In fact, the country is the world's third largest music exporter, trailing only the United States and the United Kingdom. ABBA, one of the most famous bands in history, is the most well-known, but other artists include Zara Larsson, Swedish House Mafia, Avicii, Robin and Alesso, and bands such as Roxette, Alcatha, Ace of Base, Hammerfall, and The Hives, to mention a few. 29. A coffee addiction. Coffee is popular in Sweden, so much so that the Nordics are the world's largest coffee drinkers. Source: the coffee break is so established in Swedish society that it has its own word, fika. When you visit Sweden, make time to relax at a cafe with a hot beverage and a warm cinnamon roll. 30. Swedish culinary culture. A trip to Sweden isn't complete unless you try the local cuisine. Not everything is Swedish meatballs, although you should definitely try this delicacy. You should try the native seafood and game meat, such as reindeer. Smorgasbord should be served on exceptional occasions. 29. A coffee